I was the devoted second male lead in a campus romance novel. At my 17-year-old birthday party, Shen Jia said she wanted to go to Peking University with me. Until one day, she and Jiang Sheng, the school bully, skipped class to get tattoos, fought with hooligans outside school, and confessed their love in a hotel. Their love was flamboyant and passionate, like the male and female protagonists in a youth novel. I died in the sweltering summer of my 18th year to save Shen Jia, only to hear her say, "Thank you very much, but it was all your own wishful thinking." Only after I died did I realize that I was the devoted second male lead in a campus romance, and all the suffering I endured was just a part of the male and female leads' love play. When I opened my eyes again, I was back to the year they fell in love. This time, I decided to fulfill their great love. "Zhou He, you got first place in this monthly exam." As soon as I opened my eyes, I saw my high school classmate, Zhou He, congratulating me. Looking at the report card displayed on the podium, the mountain of books piled on the desk, and the blue and white school uniform figures around me, I quickly realized that I had been reborn, back to the year Shen Jia and Jiang Sheng fell in love. The people gathered around the podium were both surprised and puzzled. Zhou He, the eternal second place, actually turned the tables. What place did Shen Jia get this time? Her name isn't even at the front. Shen Jia actually scored over 100? Oh my God. At this moment, the female protagonist's seat was empty. She should be flirting with Jiang Sheng at the tattoo parlor. "Zhou He, the head teacher wants to see you in the office." It wasn't until I stood in front of the head teacher's desk that I digested the fact that I had been reborn. The head teacher congratulated me, while regretting, "What's been happening with Shen Jia lately? Her grades have dropped so much, she's never faltered before, but now she's over 100th place." In the eyes of the whole school, Shen Jia was a favored child of heaven, a candidate for Tsinghua and Peking University. Her grades had never been flawed since she entered school, but this time she had dropped to over 100th place. Another teacher shook his head, frustrated. "These kids nowadays have no idea about the dangers of early love. That Jiang Sheng, the whole school knows he's a good-for-nothing, and now he's corrupting good students." I silently walked out of the office, and as I passed the hallway, I saw Shen Jia and Jiang Sheng returning. Jiang Sheng blew a peach-scented cloud of smoke into Shen Jia's face, then kissed her with a smile. Shen Jia glanced at me and nudged Jiang Sheng. Jiang Sheng then released the hand that was holding her head and said with a smirk, "Isn't that your little childhood friend? Aren't you going to say hello? He's now the number one in the grade." Shen Jia leaned shyly against Jiang Sheng. "What does that have to do with me? Don't be jealous." Then Jiang Sheng smiled provocatively at me, put his arm around Shen Jia, and left. The next day, Jiang Sheng and Shen Jia's parents were called in. Jiang Sheng fought with a student at school for Shen Jia's sake. That boy had liked Shen Jia for a long time, and when he saw them being intimate, he provoked them with a few words. Who would have thought that Jiang Sheng would call a few of his brothers and break his hand? Shen Jia, on the other hand, had her parents called in because she was having a relationship that was affecting her studies. Jiang Sheng's parents didn't seem to care much, saying that all it took was some money, and then they left, saying they were busy with work. But Shen Jia's mother, after hearing this, apologized in a low voice and couldn't help but tear up as she looked at Shen Jia. Jiang Sheng stood beside her, holding Shen Jia's hand tightly. The head teacher was furious and reprimanded the two of them. "Shen Jia, you've really disappointed the teacher. Look how much your test scores have dropped this time. Over 100 places. This is just a small monthly exam. What will you do when it comes to the college entrance examination? How can you be so irresponsible to yourselves? I won't hold you accountable for skipping class a few times, but now you've even gotten a tattoo. You're so disappointing." Hearing this, Shen Jia's mother couldn't help but slap Shen Jia. Shen Jia covered her face and sobbed quietly in Jiang Sheng's arms. "Enough. This is between the two of us. It has nothing to do with anyone else," Jiang Sheng said. The head teacher looked displeased when he heard this. "Nothing to do with it? Jiang Sheng, do you know that Shen Jia is a key Tsinghua and Peking University candidate the school is cultivating? Can you afford to ruin her future? How difficult can it be?" Can't the Jiang group accommodate her? Jiang Sheng sneered. Shen Jia's mother finally spoke. Jiang Sheng, we all know you have a lot of influence, but our family is just an ordinary family. Please don't bother Jia Jia anymore. At this time, Shen Jia stood in front of Jiang Sheng and retorted, Jiang Sheng and I are truly in love. It's just a monthly exam. I can easily get first place. The final college entrance examination is the most important. Before the other person could reply, Jiang Sheng pulled Shen Jia away. At the door, they ran into me, who was carrying a stack of homework books. When Jiang Sheng saw me, he sneered, Why are you so nosy? Don't bother us anymore. Then he pulled Shen Jia away. I wondered if I had offended these two just by turning in my homework. However, I didn't want to get involved with them anymore, so I didn't say anything. Shen Jia and I were childhood sweethearts. Our families were close friends, and we lived in the same neighborhood. Therefore, from childhood to adulthood, Shen Jia and I had hardly been apart. We went to tutoring classes together after school, played together on vacation, and competed for first place in school exams. When others teased us, I would act serious, but I was actually very excited inside. I liked Shen Jia. She was gentle and kind. She would patiently teach me problems that I didn't understand. When we both encountered problems that we didn't understand, we would study them together. I would be the first to stand up for her when others bullied her. That year, my father cheated, and my mother passed away. Shen Jia hugged me and comforted me. Staying up all night because of her, I love this world. Every holiday, we were each other's first blessing. She knew I liked a limited edition Lego set, and she saved up for a long time to buy it for me. On my 17th birthday, she asked me, Zhou He, let's make a promise to go to Beijing together, okay? I was silent because I knew her grades were particularly good. She stared at me, knowing what I was thinking, and said with a smile, What's wrong? You don't want to? I looked at her, my heart beating fast. My grades aren't as good as yours. What if I don't get in? Shen Jia showed a bright smile. Then I'll wait for you. I believe you can get in. I don't want to be separated from you. From that day on, I started studying desperately, trying hard to get closer to Shen Jia. I wrote Shen Jia into my life plan. She was my son. I always thought that in the summer of my 18th year, I would take the high-speed rail to Beijing with Shen Jia. Until Jiang Sheng appeared, everything changed. Jiang Sheng transferred to our school in the second semester of the second year of high school. On the afternoon of his transfer, he became famous for fighting with the school's hooligans. That day, he was given the title of school bully. Jiang Sheng was the only heir to the Jiang group. He was very handsome and unrestrained, had ear piercings, and only ever wore the top half of his school uniform. His name was always on the Monday morning announcements for either skipping class or fighting. In less than 3 days, he became the dream lover of most girls. At first, Shen Jia had a very bad impression of Jiang Sheng, thinking he was just a good-for-nothing hooligan. Until Shen Jia sang a song called A Little Happiness at the school's cultural festival, I saw the love in Jiang Sheng's eyes for Shen Jia. From then on, Jiang Sheng began to pursue Shen Jia aggressively. A month later, they were together. 17 years of being together day and night was no match for Jiang Sheng's one sentence. Shen Jia, do you want to try dating me? The combination of a top student and a school bully made them the center of attention at school. At first, Jiang Sheng would still accompany Shen Jia to study in the hallway, but eventually it became Shen Jia accompanying Jiang Sheng to smoke outside. From then on, Shen Jia changed. I started going home alone, going to the library alone. Shen Jia's mind was all on Jiang Sheng. She skipped class to take care of Jiang Sheng. When he was sick, got tattoos with him, and went racing and played billiards together to make Jiang Sheng happy. She tore up her homework books. She said Jiang Sheng was a special ray of light in her life, and she liked such a dazzling and flamboyant boy. I tried to persuade her every day to take her studies into consideration and not be so indulgent, but all I got in return was Jiang Sheng's ridicule and her saying, "Stop being so nosy. Who do you think you are?" She told me not to look for her anymore. She didn't want to make Jiang Sheng angry. In my previous life, I didn't listen to her and continued to pay attention to Shen Jia's movements until one night I followed Shen Jia and discovered that someone was tailing her. It turned out that Jiang Sheng had offended someone in the underworld, and that person planned to take revenge on Shen Jia. At the critical moment, I took the knife for Shen Jia. But the last thing I saw was her sobbing in Jiang Sheng's arms at that time. How I wish she would look at me again, but unfortunately, I died before I even made it to the hospital. After I died, they didn't let me go. They were all lovey-dovey in front of my grave, and Jiang Sheng still acted aloof, as if I was the one who had done something wrong. Shen Jia looked at my tombstone without any apology and said, "It was all your own wishful thinking. Even without you, Jiang Sheng would have come to save me." Hearing her words, I completely gave up. At that moment, I realized that I was actually in a campus romance novel. I was the devoted second male lead who had always loved the female lead in the story, and all the suffering I endured was just paving the way for the female lead's character development. Even this rescue was originally a scene to deepen the relationship between the male and female leads, but I, the second male lead, stole the male lead scene and saved Shen Jia. It turned out that everything I did was just a joke. Everything was to serve the love between the male and female leads. I was unwilling. Why? Why could they have a perfect life, while I could only be dry bones and yellow earth? Why couldn't I live for myself? If I had another chance, I would only be responsible for my own life. Then, when I opened my eyes, I was back in my senior year of high school. After school, Mrs. Shen invited me to her house for a visit. Her eyes were red and swollen, but I remained unmoved. "Zhou He, can you please help Annie persuade Jia? You're her best friend. She'll definitely listen to you." She looked up, her eyes full of hope. I smiled wryly. "I'm sorry, Annie. She won't listen to anyone right now. I can't help you." Mrs. Shen choked up and said, "Please save Jia. Annie really has no way out." I said helplessly, "Annie, no one can stop matters of the heart. I'm afraid I'm powerless." After saying goodbye, I was about to leave when Mrs. Shen knelt down in front of me. "Annie begs you. You don't want Jia's life to be ruined, do you?" "Huh. Wasn't it she who ruined my life in the previous life?" "Mom, what are you doing? Get up quickly." The door opened, and Shen Jia rushed in to help Mrs. Shen up. "Zhou He, what do you mean by this? Making my mom kneel down and beg you?" Shen Jia roared, "Don't shout at me. I didn't make her kneel," I said coldly. Shen Jia seemed shocked by my attitude. After all, I had always spoken to her gently in the past. "Your family matters are for you to solve. I'm an outsider and can't help." With that, I left directly. After returning home, I took down the model that Shen Jia had given me and sold it to the junk shop downstairs. I no longer needed these things in this life. Then, I began to study, putting all unimportant things behind me. I changed Shen Jia's notification setting on my phone from pinned to top to do not disturb. This time, I would live for my own future. The next day, Shen Jia was surprisingly waiting for me in front of my seat. I walked past her and sat down. "What's the matter?" I asked. "What's with your attitude? Are you trying to get my attention so that I and Jiang Sheng misunderstand each other? Let me tell you, don't even think about it. We will never let you succeed." Shen Jia threatened. I laughed. "What are you laughing at?" Shen Jia angrily slapped my table. "When did you become so narcissistic? Take care of yourselves first." I stood up and looked down at her. She seemed to be intimidated by my gaze. "Don't get too cocky. I'm just letting you have first place this time." "Is that so? Jiang Sheng is waiting for you outside. Don't make him angry." I mocked. Shen Jia left angrily, and I calmly sat back down. Zhou Mingxian next to me was stunned. "When did you become so tough? You used to never say a harsh word to Shen Jia." "I'm awake now. I just want to study hard." Zhou Mingxian cupped his fist at me. "I admire you." Soon the class bell rang. Sure enough, Shen Jia skipped class again. Every class she skipped was a stepping stone for me. After class, the teacher called me to the office. "Zhou He, in previous years, Shen Jia always went to the math competition. Now only you could take on the important task. Do you have confidence?" Looking at the information in front of me, and thinking of the scene in the previous life when Jiang Sheng stopped me from participating in the competition to comfort Shen Jia, I would never let him succeed this time. "Teacher, don't worry. I will never let you down." Zhou Mingxian jumped up from his seat when he saw me come back. "Do you know that Jiang Sheng took Shen Jia to race again? That car is so cool." I said indifferently, "Oh, their affairs have nothing to do with me." Zhou Mingxian saw the information I brought back and said excitedly, "Damn, Zhou He, You're doing well. This competition is very prestigious this year. If you win an award, you can at least get recommended to a 211 university. Definitely. Zhou He, can you help me with something? I asked. Zhou He immediately became vigilant. You don't want me to follow Jiang Sheng, do you? I can't afford to offend him. No, just listen to me. After it's done, I'll give you that Lego you wanted. Zhou Mingxuan's eyes lit up. The Lego doesn't matter. The main thing is that I'm willing to go through thick and thin for my brothers. Jiang Sheng, let's see how you get angry for a beauty this time. Shen Jia didn't come back until the last class in the afternoon. As soon as she came back, she heard the class discussing my participation in the math competition. In less than 5 minutes, she ran out again with red eyes. These past few days, Jiang Sheng and Shen Jia were peaceful, not skipping classes and staying at school. And I was busy with the competition, too lazy to pay attention to them. On the afternoon before the competition, Shen Jia sent me a message, asking me to meet her in the restroom on the second floor of the Art and Sports Building. Shen Jia, you finally couldn't hold back. In the evening, it was dinner time, and the second floor of the Art and Sports Building was empty. I entered the restroom and called out, Shen Jia, are you there? I waited for a long time, and no one responded. Just as I was about to leave, the door suddenly closed from the outside. I desperately pounded on the door. Jiang Sheng's voice came from outside. Do you think you're great because you can participate in the competition? This position was originally Shen Jia's. Since she wasn't selected, don't even think about showing off. I knew that he knew the Art and Sports Building would be locked at night, and I definitely wouldn't jump from the second floor. The signal here was very bad, and I couldn't send messages or make calls. Locking me in here was the best way. Unfortunately, he miscalculated one step. I had already experienced all of this in my previous life. In the previous life, he locked me in here, and Shen Jia also acquiesced. No one could save me. I desperately pounded on the door, but only the sound of the wind answered me. When I woke up, it was already the next morning. The security guard came to open the door and found someone trapped for the whole night, as he wished I missed the competition. My dad knew about it and scolded me for being incompetent and so stupidly tricked. This time, I would never let him get away with it. After the noise outside disappeared, I patiently sat aside and waited. Soon, the sound of the door opening came. The next afternoon, I ran into Jiang Sheng and Shen Jia in the hallway again. Shen Jia saw me and avoided my gaze, her eyes filled with guilt. Jiang Sheng held her hand and looked at me playfully. He must have thought I didn't go to the competition. They came specifically to laugh at me and followed me into the classroom. Zhou Mingxian saw me return and immediately came up. Zhou He, you're back. How did it go? How was the competition? Did you slay everyone? Hearing his words, the eyes of the classmates in the class also focused on me. At this time, an untimely voice sounded. Yeah, Zhou, you genius. Hurry up and share with us. After all, you're the only one in the whole school who participated. I didn't avoid Jiang Sheng's gaze and said calmly, this competition was indeed very difficult. After all, it was national. TCH, the top student is still putting on a brave face? Jiang Sheng's voice sounded again. Oh, what a big sour taste. Is Jiang jealous of our Zhou? Zhou Mingxian retorted sarcastically. The classmates in the class also chimed in. That's right. How could Zhou He make mistakes like some people? Hey, don't talk nonsense. People are going directly to Jiang's group in the future. Why are some people sour? Zhou He earned the spot through his own efforts, fair and square. The head teacher suddenly appeared at the classroom door, holding a coat in her hand. Seeing me, she handed me the coat and said, Zhou He, you left this behind during the competition today. Then she looked around the class. You all have a lot of free time. Huh? Have you all been recommended? Don't need to study, right? Just waiting around for your admission letters? The students who were gossiping together immediately scurried back to their seats. The head teacher told me a few more things and then left. Hearing what the teacher said, Shen Jia, who had been silent, slumped into her seat. Jiang Sheng came up at this time and said in a voice that only we two could hear, I didn't expect it. You're quite capable. How did you escape? That's none of your business. I advise you not to provoke me again and live your lives well with Shen Jia. I sneered. Jiang Sheng wanted to make a move, but Shen Jia came up and pulled him away. I returned to my seat and said to Zhou Mingxian, "It's time." That night, I slept especially soundly. I participated in the math competition that I didn't participate in my previous life, which means that my future path will be easier. Next, I'm going to watch Jiang Sheng and Shen Jia suffer. The next morning, I returned to the class, and the screen played the morning news that was a must-see every day on time. Suddenly, Jiang Sheng's figure appeared on the screen. He stood in front of the restroom, forcefully pulled the door shut, and locked it. According to sources, Jiang Sheng, the heir of Zhang's group, is currently studying at a key middle school. Out of jealousy for a classmate, he locked the classmate in the restroom of the sports building the night before the competition. In order to prevent the classmate from participating in the competition the next day, the incident is currently under investigation. Seeing this news, the whole class was in an uproar. Shen Jia sat in her seat, biting her lip tightly, then lowered her head and took out her phone to send messages. Zhou Mingxian and I looked at each other and smiled, and he took out his phone. "Zhou He, look, Zhang's group stock fell today." Jiang Sheng, "Shen Jia, this is just the first step in my revenge." Jiang Sheng didn't come to school all day, and I had a peaceful day in class. The next morning after morning exercises, the dean of students read out a public criticism of Jiang Sheng. I saw Jiang Sheng staring fixedly at me, and I smiled back without fear. Seeing me smile, Jiang Sheng strode forward, flying to a rage. "Zhou He, but damn good. You dare to report this to the media? Huh? I'll kill you." As he said that, he threw a punch at me. I grabbed him and punched him heavily in the face. Jiang Sheng was obviously stunned by my punch and stood there in a daze. "Young Master Jiang, before you want to teach others a lesson, first weigh yourself to see if you can." Being punched in the face by me in front of the whole school, Jiang Sheng would definitely not swallow this, and was about to stand up and fight back when a swarm of teachers rushed over and separated us. Shen Jia stepped forward, looking like a righteous messenger. "Why did you hit Jiang Sheng? And you're acting like a victim. Didn't you still go to the competition in the end? There's no need to be so petty, right?" As expected of the female lead in a campus novel, always so righteous. I sneered. "Pretend? I don't need to pretend at all. I am the victim. I was able to participate because of my own ability, Shen. When I was trapped inside, you were there too. Why didn't you righteously save me? Now you have the strength to accuse me?" Shen Jia was silenced by my question. She had no reason to refute me. At this time, everyone understood. Everything Jiang Sheng did was for Shen Jia. Their so-called free and unrestrained behavior was just a hasty escape in everyone's eyes. In the following months, they rarely appeared. I started to study harder, even though Jiang Sheng always used Zhang's group to mock me, laughing at me for wasting my youth. I knew his starting point was the end point for many people, but that also meant his upper limit was here. I woke up earlier in the morning and went to bed later at night. While they were spending their youth freely in dating, I used all my time to study. In the last city joint exam, I ranked first in the city with a score of 698. Shen Jia's name, which used to be in front of me, had completely disappeared. The competition in senior year was already fierce, and the rankings changed very frequently. Only a few people could maintain them. The results of the math competition came out, and there was no suspense. I won first prize, one step closer to my goal. Just as I was burying myself in my studies, news suddenly spread through the school. Shen Jia was pregnant. She and Jiang Sheng had gone to see a movie, and at their age, full of youthful vigor, Jiang Sheng couldn't resist taking her to a small hotel. This was even earlier than in my previous life, where Shen Jia got pregnant after the college entrance exam. The male and female leads would never get an abortion, as they believed the child was innocent and beautiful. But they hadn't realized that they were already becoming parents while still in their senior year of high school. They couldn't even control themselves, yet they wanted to control a child. Such parents would only mislead their offspring. Jiang Sheng's parents, to cover up the scandal, wanted Shen Jia to have an abortion. Jiang Sheng, of course, wouldn't agree, so they eloped. It was said that Shen Jia took quite a bit of money from her family. Her mother fainted from the shock and had to lie in a hospital for a long time to recover. Teenage students were naturally ignorant about such private matters, and almost everyone was gossiping about them. How could Shen Jia turn out like this? She used to be a top student. So what if she was a top student? She's going to be a chairman's wife in the future. How can that compare to being a top student? Jiang Sheng is awesome, getting a girl pregnant before he's even 18. If I were their child, I'd want to die having such a useless pair of parents. Originally, Shen Jia and Jiang Sheng were popular figures in the school, like stars being admired by everyone. But after this incident, no one wanted to be associated with them, fearing they'd be grouped with them. The teachers had also completely given up on Shen Jia. The teachers no longer called on her name in class, and even if she slept, played on her phone, or played games during class, they pretended not to see it. The classmates and friends who used to surround her gradually distanced themselves from her. I went back and forth between school and home every day, living a simple life. Shen Jia, on the other hand, completely abandoned her studies, spending every day with Jiang Sheng going to internet cafes, smoking, racing, and being intimate, completely indulging herself. Their youth was as crazy and unrestrained as a movie plot, and I buried myself in my studies every day, willing to be the background for the main characters. I wanted to draw a line between them and me, not wanting to be involved in their love affair. On the day of the college entrance exam, I walked into the exam hall with the effort that I wouldn't regret and the expectations of everyone. In my previous life, I died by the knife before I even had the chance to enter the exam hall. I thought I would be nervous, but I wasn't. All the questions appeared in my mind like familiar old friends. I hadn't wasted a single minute of my youth. I did my best to complete this life exam. After the college entrance exam, I returned to school to pack my things. The homeroom teacher stood on the podium and sighed. Shen Jia is taking the college entrance exam while pregnant, and she's only a little over a month along. She's only going to suffer in the exam hall. Forget about performing normally. I'm just afraid she'll feel unwell in the exam hall. It turned out that Shen Jia and Jiang Sheng had quarreled. As a result, Shen Jia went to take the college entrance exam out of spite to anger Jiang Sheng. Did she think she was still the top student? In the previous life's college entrance exam, she scored a high score of 350, barely enough to get into a vocational college. Her family had to pay money to get her into a private one. At the reunion after the college entrance exam, both Jiang Sheng and Shen Jia came. They didn't seem to have made up. Usually they were inseparable like glue, but today they were sitting apart. During the reunion, Shen Jia's gaze kept landing on me, with a look of regret and complexity. Jiang Sheng was constantly drinking and toasting with the surrounding classmates. Zhou He, where are you planning to apply? Your score should be good enough for Tsinghua or Peking University, right? Zhou Mingxin joked. Hearing this, Jiang Sheng downed a few more glasses. After a few rounds of drinks, I went outside for some fresh air. As soon as I stepped out of the booth, Shen Jia followed. Zhou He, wait. I stopped. What's the matter? Zhou He, I want to talk to you. I saw the embarrassed look on her face. I coldly refused. We have nothing to talk about. You should stay away from me. Aren't you afraid Jiang Sheng will misunderstand? You don't even want to talk to me now? Does our friendship of so many years mean nothing? I was very annoyed by her accusatory tone. I never realized you were so shameless before. You have the nerve to mention friendship? What about the cold words you said to me before and locking me in the lounge? Shen Jia looked wronged. No, Jiang Sheng insisted on taking revenge for me. I couldn't stop him. I didn't want to listen to her nonsense and turned to leave, but she grabbed my hand. Don't think you can act pitiful and erase everything you did to me before. I tried to shake off her hand, but she held on tightly. Zhou He, you're the only one I have now. Jiang Sheng's family doesn't approve of us being together. His family even found him a fiancé. Yeah, so the male lead has a new love, and she's thinking of me, the male supporting character, again, but sorry, I'm definitely not going to be a second choice. Seeing that I was unmoved, Shen Jia said again, I know you did very well on the college entrance exam. Do you remember our promise? Sorry, I did well on the exam not because of you, and we really can't be together. I shook off her hand. Hearing my words, Shen Jia squatted on the ground and started sobbing. At this moment, Jiang Sheng also came out. Seeing Shen Jia squatting on the ground crying, he strode forward. What did you do to her? Jiang Sheng questioned me. staring at me. "Don't act like you're here to interrogate me. She's crying because of you. Take care of your family matters and don't bother me," I said coldly. Then, without waiting for their reaction, I turned and went back to the booth, and they hugged each other tightly again. They really are the male and female leads of campus romance novel. After the reunion ended, we were preparing to move to another location. When we got to the entrance, we were about to call a taxi. Suddenly, someone rushed out from outside the parking lot, holding a knife, and rushed straight towards Shen Jia in front. Before we could stop him, the knife pierced someone's body. "Jiang Sheng," Shen Jia shouted. We grabbed the assailant and immediately called 120. The girls behind called the police. Sure enough, Jiang Sheng would save you. I was really superfluous in the previous life. The ambulance arrived quickly, and Shen Jia and Jiang Sheng got into the ambulance together. After handing the assailant over to the police, we weren't in the mood to party anymore and went home. A few days later, the college entrance exam scores came out. I found out about Shen Jia's scores first because her mother was crying to everyone in the neighborhood about how miserable she was having such a daughter. Shen Jia hardly answered any questions in the liberal arts section, scoring only over 300, not even enough for the 350 from her previous life. Jiang Sheng only scored over 200. Aunt Shen was chatting with other aunts in the community, crying so hard she almost passed out. She's never fallen from first place before. We all thought she was promising and would amount to something. Tell me, what sins have I committed? The aunts could only comfort her, saying it was all Jiang Sheng's fault for leading Shen Jia, that good girl, astray. But no one else could be blamed for this result. Shen Jia and Jiang Sheng's fates were unchangeable. My dad even unusually called to ask how many points I scored. I could only tell him the results hadn't been released yet, but I had already received calls from several admissions offices. My dad was overjoyed and said he'd come back to celebrate with me. Soon after, my score came out. 688, the top liberal arts student in the city, 20th in the province. The school and the community went crazy with joy, hanging banners at the entrance. Congratulations to Zhou He for scoring 688 on the college entrance exam and becoming the top liberal arts student. Suddenly, I became a household name. Reporters came to the community specifically to interview me. The city's top scorer, congratulations poured in, and many parents in the community waited downstairs every day for a copy of my notes. My dad was beaming, booking the best hotel for my graduation banquet and inviting teachers, classmates, and a group of acquaintances. The Shen family also came. Among them were people who were at odds with the Shen family. Looking at Shen Jia's large belly, they couldn't help but ask, "Oh, I remember Zhou He used to have excellent grades and always came in first. How did she do this time? Oh, Zhou He is right here. Her belly is so big. How many months is it? Almost ready to give birth so fast." Shen's father was too embarrassed to speak and could only use the excuse of going to the bathroom with Shen's mother to hide aside. Shen Jia lowered her head, pale and silent. At previous banquets, the two of us were always the focus of attention. Her parents should have been sitting here, smiling brightly. Her name should have been on the banner being congratulated. The girl who was once poised and graceful in front of her elders was now silent and withdrawn. I walked past Shen Jia, and she stopped me. She forced a smile. "Zhou He, congratulations. You can go to Peking University." I smiled. "I'm sorry. I applied to Tsinghua." A few days later, the school invited me to give a speech. Standing on a high platform of the playground, I looked at the faces of the crowd below, full of admiration and adoration. Jiang Sheng and the pregnant Shen Jia were sitting in the back. Jiang Sheng had once stood on this platform for Shen Jia to declare his ownership. They kissed and embraced on the platform, freely and openly. The students screamed at their crazy actions, envying their love, but now, no one paid attention to them anymore. I held the microphone. Some people think that loving and hating boldly in youth is the true meaning of youth. But I think true youth doesn't need so much romance. We should live for ourselves, live out our own colors, and not be anyone else's background. We only have one youth, so please work hard for your future. The scene was filled with cheers and applause. 3 months later, I went to Beijing to study. The day I left, the Jiang group was reported for tax evasion and was confirmed and sealed off that night. Not only that, Zhang's was facing financial difficulties and owed a large debt. The chairman and CEO were taken away for investigation, and a huge group was immediately reduced to an empty shell. Jiang Sheng faced not only debts, but also the wages of employees and shareholders. Even emptying the Jiang family's coffers still left them with multiple debts. Moreover, he himself faced civil lawsuits. After the culprit who tried to stab Shen Jia was captured, Jiang Sheng was unconvinced and retaliated against his family. Jiang Sheng beat the person's younger brother half to death and had people harass his parents' work, which was later exposed. Shen Jia could only return to her parents' side and live under the criticism of relatives and neighbors. I only gave a vague outline of the matter, but the media was able to dig up such deep information. However, I no longer cared about any of this. I was no longer a tool. I had my own life. 3 years later, I was preparing to study abroad and wanted to sell my old house. In the community, people who knew me happily greeted me. But I also saw a familiar person. Shen Jia was holding a child of 1 or 2 years old. Although she was only in her early 20s this year, she looked 10 years older. Seeing me, she whispered, "I owe you an apology after all these years. If I had listened to you back then, would our ending have been different?" I smiled indifferently. "No need, it's all in the past." She smiled bitterly. "Is there any possibility for us?" "No, absolutely none." Hearing what I said, she was still unwilling to give up. "Zhou He, what should I do? Can you save me?" I said in a deep voice. "That's your business. It has nothing to do with me." I turned and left without looking back. In this life, I am the protagonist of my own story.